Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family. Happy Monday. Happy day 11 of No Spin January. So I wanted to do a quick check-in before we started today's project of making a really pretty soap and just check and see how are you doing with your No Spin January. Are things going well? Now that you've had 10 days to get used to it, how's it going? So aside from my fabric buying day, I've done pretty well. You know, I still have my moments where I want to online shop, but I shopped my closet again. Yes, another overshirt that I had never worn that I found in my closet. Told you I had a lot of things still with tags on it. So anyway, drop me a comment below. Let me know, how are you doing? Is it getting easier? Are you focusing on your goal? Have your goals or rules changed? And if so, how? So I wanted to share just very quickly with you. I had shared my, oh, they're not there, my canning mat that I made, and so many of you reached out and said, oh, are you selling those? I'd like to have one. So I'm actually working on some sewing projects in between soaping, and I wanted to share my latest. So this, it's two-sided, is a double-ended hot mitt. So when you go to get a casserole or something large out of the oven, or even lift your hot canner off the stove, this is a great thing to have. So it's actually lined with Insulbright, which is a highly insulating batting, as well as regular batting, and then an additional layer of batting for the back of your hands as well. So hopefully I'll get faster on that, but I am making use of the fabrics I purchased, so going along good. I went to the library yesterday as well, trying to keep myself occupied, and wanted to share with you, my local library always has a big rack of books for sale. Now you might be like, oh, you spent money. Okay, the books were 10 cents, no matter whether it was a big coffee table, hardcover book, no matter what it was. So I purchased for 20 cents altogether my pet chicken handbook. Y'all know I want chickens. I still haven't decided because I'm actually inside the village limits, but that's a whole nother story. And then another book that I think that we can use called Organic Body Care Recipes. So this book has simple recipes, not so much recipes you would use for selling in a bath and body product business, but simple things you can make at home. So I thought I might put together a video of let's have a cost-free spa day with things you have on hand. So for 20 cents that I dug out of the bottom of my purse, I'm not counting this against my No Spin January. And then I just got some books to read and to learn from. So it was kind of nice getting out of the house, but yet feeling like I stayed within my guidelines. So let's talk a little bit about today's soap. So today we're going to be making a recipe from the Soap Queen. So I feel I can share it with you because it is out online. So brambleberry.com or even soapqueen.com, you can find this recipe. I will drop it in the description box below. And it's called Cedar and Amber Spoon Plop Soap. So you may be thinking, what is spoon plop soap? So basically you use 4 different colors and you plop them in the mold randomly so that it kind of looks like camouflage. And I've been making this recipe for one of my dear friends. She purchases a whole 3-pound loaf periodically when they run out of soap. And it's a nice, Cedar and Amber is a nice unisex scent. So it's sort of a woodsy but yet warm scent. And the colors, even though I called it Christmas camo at first because it has burgundy green, sort of a gold color, and white, it matches their decor very well and actually doesn't look super Christmassy in my opinion. So I wanted to bring you along for that today. So let me pause a moment. I'm gonna get geared up and we'll start measuring out our oils. So stay tuned. All right, well, I have my super beautiful safety glasses and gloves on because we're gonna start first working with our lye. And I know this is probably the most frightening or intimidating part of making soap, but if you follow safety procedures, you will be successful without incident. So let me swing you around here. On my scale, I have pre-measured 11.5 ounces of distilled water. And you do want to use distilled water, not tap water, because of the minerals in water. They can precipitate out and make your soap funky. You always add your lye to your liquid, never liquid to your lye, because it causes a chemical reaction. It gets super hot. And let me just show you here. It's super cold in my house. So my water is 61.2 degrees. Now it's not cold in my house. And to this 11.5 ounces of distilled water, I'm going to add 4.8 ounces of lye. And I'm actually going to do it in the sink. And one of the things I like to do, if it's summer, I open the window, and in winter, I'm going to turn on my ceiling fan. So hang on. So you don't want to breathe those fumes in. Scoochie you back here. We're going to just start adding our lye to the water. And I wanted to share with you, this will generally go up over 200 degrees pretty quickly. And again, don't stand right over it. Not good to breathe in those fumes. So we are dissolved, and I'm leaving my utensils in the sink, and then I will rinse them off. So now we're at 173 degrees, probably because the water was so cold to start. Now I'm going to just sit this back so I'm not in danger of knocking it over. I'm going to rinse off anything that touched lye, and I will thoroughly wash it in a little bit. So when I made soap previously, some of the questions or requests that I got was, can you talk about why you're adding the oils you're adding? So this soap actually has 5 oils. It has coconut, palm oil, olive oil, avocado oil, and castor oil. So, and I'll give you the amounts here in just a moment, but let me talk first about the oils. So avocado oil is really great for sensitive skin, and it is very moisturizing. So if you have someone that has problems when they use certain store-bought soaps, they may do very well with a soap that has a percentage of avocado in it as well. Castor oil, which is this thick stuff, that makes beautiful, wonderful bubbles, but you want to use it according to the recipe in small proportions. Otherwise, you end up with a very slimy feeling soap. So as I give the measurements here in just a moment, you will see that it's a very small percentage of castor oil. Coconut oil, believe it or not, when used at too high of a percentage in soap, it can be overly drying. So while it's a good base oil for soaps, you definitely want to have something moisturizing in with it, such as the avocado oil. Olive oil is much the same way. Too much olive oil to the exclusion of other oils can also be overly drying. And then the final oil is palm oil. Palm oil is what makes a creamy lather, not bubbly, but that creamy, luscious feel. And there is quite a bit of controversy about palm oil. Some people say that they won't use palm oil because it isn't sustainably sourced. And that really comes down to where are you purchasing your palm oil. So this bucket right here is my palm oil. I do buy it from a supplier, Wholesale Supplies Plus, that only uses sustainably sourced, responsibly sourced palm oil. So that's kind of a personal decision. So let me turn off this ceiling fan because now I'm really cold, so hang on. You know, when I moved in this house, the ceiling fan was already there, and I was like, who wants a ceiling fan in the kitchen blowing dust and stuff on their food? But in actuality, when I'm canning or even when I'm using lye to make soap, I have used the ceiling fan a lot more than I ever thought I would. Okay, so let's get back to the soap here. So I'm having a little bit of trouble today with my hands, so I didn't want you to watch me struggle pulling it all out. So, and yes, my door is still broken on my scale, but I'm finding that I can just lay it over there to protect it. So in my bowl, I have put 8.8 ounces of coconut oil, and I use organic coconut oil that I buy from Walmart. 8.8 ounces of palm oil. So these are your hard oils or your solid oils. To that, I am going to add 8.8 ounces of olive oil. So are you seeing a pattern here? And if you do not feel comfortable that you can measure accurately by dumping it in the bowl, please feel free to measure into a separate container and then dump it in. I've done this long enough that I don't worry so much about that. Okay, 8.8. And just a little tip so that you don't get confused about, ooh, what did I add, what didn't I? I always set things over on my island over here once I've finished using them. So in here we now have coconut, palm, olive. Now we're gonna add our avocado. And once again, you'll never guess how much, 8.8 ounces. So of course, whenever I get ready to make soap, I'm always at the end of a container of something. So let's see if I can get this lid off without killing my hands. Ugh. This under counter lid opener is absolutely fabulous. Okay, so back at it here, and we're striving for 8.8 ounces. And again, I'm using the same avocado oil that you would eat or consume in the soap. So simple and easy to find, and I'm actually using Great Value brand. Bless you, Frankie. So poor little Frankie, as if he didn't have enough with his little tummy troubles that he had, he then got a cold. So poor little guy, he doesn't like to be dirty or messy, so he's been coming to me several times a day, and he sticks his little pretty face up there and says, wash my face, Mom. He likes to get his face washed. So I've been washing his face, but today he's actually better, and that's the first I've heard him sneeze all day, so that's great. Okay, so we have our 4 oils, our coconut, our palm, our olive, our avocado, all 8.8 ounces. And then we are going to add 1.8 ounces of the castor oil. So this will just make a nice bubbly lather without making the whole soap be slimy. And this is a very heavy oil, so surprisingly enough, it doesn't take a whole lot volume-wise to reach the 1.8 ounces by weight. And you do want to do this by weight, not volume. Okay, there we go, 1.8 on the nose. All right, I'm running out of room on my island here. So now we just have that lovely mixture of oils. So what I'm going to do, we have our lye mixture, pardon me, cooling. I'm going to put this into my microwave. You can certainly do it on the stove. You do not have to microwave it. And ensure all those oils are melted and well incorporated. I'll check the temperature, and what I want is the 2 liquids to be within 10 degrees of each other and around 120 to 130 degrees for this recipe. So I'll bring you back then. Bless you, Frank. So while we're waiting for our lye and our oils, Why can't I never point backwards to come to temperature? I thought I would share a couple things with you. First of all, if you're curious about the Cedar and Amber fragrance oil, this is what it looks like, and I purchased it from brambleberry.com, not affiliated, but it just smells amazing. And I have measured out 2 ounces by weight of the fragrance oil. As far as colorant goes, I'm going to be using 4. The first one, and all my labels are worn off, guys, sorry about that, is titanium dioxide, which is a white pigment that gets mixed with water, and you use about a teaspoon of that. Next, I'm going to be using 3 oxides. So just a word about body safe products. So you want to either use body safe mica or body safe oxide if you're putting colorant. Don't use food coloring. You can go out on YouTube and you can find people using cake decorator, color paste for icing, food coloring, a little bit of everything, and that is just not safe. So the difference between an oxide and a mica is an oxide is much more opaque. So it almost has like a chalky look in the jar. So I'm using, yellow, burgundy. These are really fancy names, right? And I think this is green chrome. So I mixed about a teaspoon of each of the oxides with sweet almond oil. So part of the success of soaping and not feeling panicked is having your setup. So I have 4 containers here. So once I stick blend my soap together, I will divide it out into the 4 even containers. I have a separate soaping only spatula for each one of the containers. I have pre-measured all my colorants into plastic cups. I'll give them a quick stir, dump it in on the top, divide my fragrance oil, which is sitting in my mold, so don't forget to use it, among the 4. You can put it into the whole batch if you want as well. The actual directions say to divide it up in 4s. I'm not sure why, but that's what it says. And then I have spoons for each color so that I can plop it into my 10-inch silicone mold, and then just so I don't forget to spray it, my 91% alcohol that I spray the top with, and that will prevent that ashy look on the top of soap. If you do get an ashy look on the top of your soap, it's called soap ash, or some people call it soda ash, but it's soap ash, and it will not hurt your soap. It just hurts the looks a little bit, and you can steam that off. I have like one of those handheld steamers that you clean grout or clean around the edges of your sink with. Works beautifully, and it will steam that ashy look right off. So let me check the temp again, get geared back up, and we'll start making some soap. Okay, well, we've come to temperature here, and I am going to mix my lime mixture. I'm safety glasses and gloved up, and I'm going to mix the 2 together. So I have my stick blender. I'm going to put it in, tip it, and it bubbles, burps. Then I like to pour my lye down the shaft of the stick blender, and the reason that I do that is to minimize splashing. You do not want this splashing in your eyes and on your skin. Technically, you should be wearing long sleeves. And I'm just putting water in there. So I'm gonna blend this up, so give me just a moment because it's loud. Okay, let me show you where we are here. So you want to stop blending when it's at a fairly thin trace. So it's not as thick as pudding, but it does coat a spatula nicely. And I'm gonna go ahead, and the reason we're not blending this until it's thicker is because we're going to use our stick blender again to get those colors well blended. If you over blend, you're going to end up with what I laughingly call soap on a stick. So it will get so thick you can't spoon it, pour it, or do anything with it. So they don't have to be exact on your 4 containers. I just get as close as I can. And I do try to get my bowl as clean as I possibly can because that's more soap for the purchaser. Oh, didn't have you tip down, did I? Okay, so we're a little shy on this one. So I'll just add a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start here with my lightest color. I'm just giving it a quick stir. I'm gonna dump it on top. And the reason that I use disposable cups is because this pigment makes such a mess. I am not willing to wash all that stuff down the drain. It ruins anything that it gets on. It's pretty difficult to remove the stain. So I like to just use little Dixie cups, which incidentally I bought at the thrift store, a big package of them. Okay, now we'll do our green. And you'll notice I'm not mixing these because I don't want to overblend and get it too thick. And then our final color, which is the burgundy. And adding this little bit of almond oil in with the colorant will help you a little bit on thinning out the soap just a touch. Okay, let me push that aside. And I'm going to just eyeball my fragrance oil. Now, I'm going to use the same stick blender and I'm just going to go down the row from lightest to darkest. And it really does not hurt to mix the colors just this little bit. So we have our 4 colors mixed. Just a touch of water on this so it doesn't turn so hard. And now we are going to just alternate colors and plop them, as the recipe name implies, into the bowl. So I like to start with 1 color. I do not intermingle colors on the spoon. Go to the next color. So I've put 4 in there. Now I'll go to the green. Oh, y'all, this smells so delicious. You just have no idea. This is actually my son's favorite scent as well. And he loves to take hot baths after a long, hard day at work because he physically labors. And so he really enjoys bath bombs. So I always ask him, so what scent do you want? And he's like, duh, Mom. I'm sure my kid thinks I'm like the dumbest creature on the face of the planet, but that's okay. And now we'll do our white. And might help if I didn't have to reach so far. and you want to just kind of fill in with your fourth color any holes and whack it on the counter. So you see I've got kind of a hodgepodge here. So I'm going to keep layering, and I'll bring you back at the end to show you how we do the top. All right, well, you can see our soap is now more or less the texture of a pretty thick cake icing. So I have just made stripes of each color, and I am going to go back and forth to just make a little swirl design on the top. And I don't know if I said this, so I'm going to say it again in case I did not. Each layer that you add to your soap, you want to smack it on the counter so that you're evening out and you won't end up with like holes or bumps in your soap. So your final chore here is just to clean up the rim. And I do use a paper towel. As a reminder, don't ever put your soaping dishes into your dishwasher. It is not safe to do so because it is not dishwasher soap. So even though it may not lather, it is raw soap and you should not be putting it in your dishwasher. So there you have it. A beautiful loaf of custom-made soap. Thank you, Mike and Denise, for your order. I will get this curing for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and as soon as it's ready, it'll be cut and packaged. I'm just going to spray it with my 91% rubbing alcohol and get this behind the cat door to cure. So if you have any questions about the soaping today, please drop me a comment below. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed and that you've rung the bell to be notified of all the new videos. As always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all later this week. Take care.